It was another day in the Roblox Squid Games, but this time, I was yet again in a tournament for 20,000 Robux with 50 other creators. I had lost in the previous one I participated in, but this time, I wasn't going to lose. The first game had begun, but I had already felt that something was amiss. That was when a damn blue bastard came up to me out of nowhere and pushed me into a hail of bullets. But that wasn't all, and as soon as I attempted to heal using one of my bandages, even yet another blue-colored skellywag emerged out of thin air and pushed me into total annihilation. They knew I was destined to win the Squid Game, so they teamed on me to get me out early. Though fortunately for me, I was a doctor, meaning I was capable of freely resurrecting myself, and ran back over to the finish line planning to get my revenge. We were then going over to the Dalgona game, and I was bestowed upon with the glorious triangle cookie, which, as you would have guessed, I carved it out with incredible precision. It was now time for lunch, and it seemed like even content creators were starved gremlins who were going crazy to finally eat once in a year. Anyways, after getting my food, I went over to the bunk beds to group up with the rest of the Reds for protection during lights out, and survived until eventually the night turned day. We were now in the game of hide and seek, and since I had become a goddamn hider, I had no choice but to follow the flock of players in the attempt of locating the exit. But we unfortunately didn't manage to find it, so me and Monkey Man decided to hide behind a pillar. Though we were soon found, so I ran as fast as I could in order to keep myself alive, until I found a room to hide in and barricaded the door to block any intruders from entering to eliminate me. That was when a player began pushing the door. They had managed to open it after some time, but I was relieved that it was only just a hider like me, or so I thought. The goddamn bastard had pulled out a knife out of nowhere and began to stab me, and with no way to escape out of the room, I eventually died and bled out on the door. I could have sworn his vest was blue, but if you thought that that was the end of my story, then you'd be wrong. As in the last few seconds before the game had come to an end, a doctor had taken pity on my dreadful soul and resuscitated me back to life. I was back, and I wasn't going to let the kindness shown to me go ungrateful. So in the jump rope game, I decided to carry my boy Ryuji over to the other side completely free of charge. After speedrunning the glass bridge, me and the rest of the Reds began posing menacingly for the camera, and then we went on to the mingle game. In the first round, we needed to get into rooms of 3. So me, Ryuji, and Jamar went into a room together to survive. The next round, it was rooms of 8, and even though chaos was running rampant throughout the chamber, we somehow managed to make it out alive. But when the third round came by, everything went downhill. It was rooms of 8 once again, but this time we had 1 extra player. We were cooked, meaning that out of the 21 participants that were still alive, only 2 had survived to go on to the final, and I could only describe what had just happened with one word: sabotage.